I really went crazy at the Hobby Lobby annual clearance sale. You probably could tell from how excited I was in the previous podcast. But once I got home and went through all of my wonderful yarn findings, I started wondering, where's this stuff going to go? So if you're curious about yarn storage organization, stick around. I'm Shannon from Shannon Talks Yarn, and I am super excited to be coming to you today and talking to you about the process of organizing yarn. Some of us are more organizationally challenged than others. Some of us aspire to be organized. Some of us just don't care. And I'm kind of a little bit of all of those molded into one. When I was a kid, I used to love organizing things. I remember actually asking to organize our kitchen cupboards and, would really enjoy the visual aspect of seeing all of the labels straight, seeing all the products faced into the front. Of course, this was long before I knew what that was called. But as time went on and my life got more complicated as we age, and it just took such a lower priority for me, and so in some aspects really became a sense of stress for me. I'm definitely a person who, if something is out of sight, it is out of mind. So I need to have things where I can see them. But unfortunately, most of us don't have the kind of extra space in our homes to have every product lined up nice and neat on a shelf. A few years back, I really started watching a lot of YouTube videos from people who clean their houses, like that's what their content is. And I did learn a lot about organizing. And one of the channels that I found the most helpful was a channel called Clutterbug. And I believe that gal has since gone on to even do some TV shows, but I believe her YouTube channel is still active. And it really broke down like the type of cleaning and organizing style you have. And for me, it has to be super easy, like low barrier, no obstacle. And I need to be able to see things. I know the gal from the YouTube channel had given an example about not putting the dryer lint in a bin because the bin had a lid on it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. And here it was, I thought I was lazy, but it's just, you have to find your style. Keeping all this in mind, I did go into this yarn organization project a little bit more enthusiastic than I would a closet in my living room or, the shelves in my pantry, because I'm pretty much obsessed with yarn. So I thought, this is one of my favorite things and I get to spend time with it. I get to touch it. I get to squish it, and I get to place it exactly how I want, because this is something that is just my space. I'm not really sharing this space with anyone. My family could care less, so I could organize it exactly how I wanted. I did struggle a bit, and as you will see in my upcoming videos, it's going to be a two-parter. The first one I got about halfway through, and the second one will be the follow-up and the reveal. But it had quite a few twists and turns, just trial and error as I went, deciding what fit where, what I wanted to group together. But so far, I'm very happy with the project. And while I did not fit near as much into the closet as I would have liked, I was able to set up a few areas that I thought made some really cute displays. And I'm very excited because I think that this will be beneficial for my YouTube channel, so I can film in multiple spots, keep things interesting, keep like the visual interest going. And I also get to display some really, really pretty yarn that I did just get at this Hobby Lobby sale. It made me realize how random a lot of my other yarn collection really was compared to basically this one beautiful color palette that I brought home from Hobby Lobby. To start this project, I first started with all of the Hobby Lobby sacks that were still on my floor from after filming my haul video. And I just started grouping those on the bed in the spare room based on what type it was. I did not subcategorize everything. I just went with the type of yarn it was. And I didn't try to be organized when putting them on the bed. So I had bulky with two-weight yarn. It didn't matter. I just put them all up there so I could see them and tried to leave enough room on the piles that I knew I had more of from previous years. So I had some sugar wheel cotton, and if you saw my video, you saw I went a little bit nuts on those, but they were beautiful and they were like $1.50. So that's how it goes. But I had a few from a previous year. And so I knew, okay, in this pile, leave room for more. But, I had that next to the Woolies Wow, which is like a 7. So I did not try to organize it. I did not worry about what colors were what. I just got it all up. The next step was to start with the things that were on the floor of my closet. So I had some bins and I pulled those out of the way. Some of the bins I went through, some of them at the time of this recording have yet to be gone through, but I got them out of my way so I could walk in and out. And from there, I kind of started at the top and worked down because I knew my top shelves are hard to reach. So that's an obstacle for me. I know it sounds lazy, but grabbing a footstool and dragging it in there and climbing up and pulling down what I want just does not sound fun. So I knew I had some, I think they're called tent sale monster balls. They are from the Spin Right factory outlet. And I had 3 of those giant skeins of yarn. It's like over 2,000 yards. And then I had what I wanted to be a tote to go up there. So I knew that I could put a bunch of like items in that tote and just be able to pull the whole tote down. And that was it. And I kind of went from there, and like I said, I did have to move things around multiple times. This project of mine, I don't have any special organizers. I did not buy anything beautiful. Most of the stuff doesn't match in there. In fact, I'm using a couple hanging shoe organizers, one of those hanging cube sweater organizers, along with a plastic shelf that I dismantled and also some Rubbermaid totes. So I wouldn't exactly call it a Pinterest-worthy looking closet, but the things I purchased, I believe I either thrifted or got at garage sales. So very inexpensive, budget-friendly, and it's just going to be me in there. It really doesn't matter. Let's talk totes for a quick minute. So I would like to start out by saying, if you're going to do the tote method like I did, get clear totes. I don't know if I would like this if my totes were sitting out and I had to see all the colors of yarn, but these are in a closet and there's not a lot of light in my closet, to be honest. So again, I said low obstacles for me. So if I can see the yarn from the outside, that's going to help for starters. My next point would be, when you pick up those large totes, they don't hold as much yarn as you would think. So the big tote that I put on my top shelf, I only got 9 skeins of Pound of Love in it. So the pounds of love are pretty big, I will give you that. But the fact that I only got 9 in there tells you that, they're smaller than you'd think. So I did not want these so packed that, number one, I couldn't get the lid on, or number two, I couldn't see what was in there. I did use a medium-sized tote for all of my cotton yarns, And my cotton yarn ranges from like dishcloth quality cotton, that is hard to say, all the way up to wearable cotton and, some in between. So I wanted my cotton all stored in the same place if possible, but since this tote was shallow but wide, I did do 2 layers on there, and I have them scrunched in pretty tight, but I can pretty much see everything that's in there from the sides of the tote since it is see-through. And that's the only one that I would pack that tight, is the shallow one, so that it's still visible. My second favorite organizational tool for storing my yarn is from the Dollar Tree, actually. They are mesh laundry bags. And Dollar Tree, the last time I was there, had 2 different sizes. They have a very large one, and I have purchased those. It's just one. It's got a drawstring on top. And these, I do have some whips in where I've put, they would need to be a large whip. And even then, these bags are still pretty big. But I was able to get my whip and all the yarn that goes with it inside the bag. Those are not my favorite ones, but there is a 3-pack of small mesh laundry bags. These would be the size that you would put like lingerie or, something very small in. And these come in a 3-pack for $1.25, and I have found they are great for storing skeins of yarn. The mesh is white, but it is a mesh, so you can see what is inside of it. So if we were talking about like a normal skein of Red Heart Super Saver, you could fit 3 in there. If you're talking about the smaller skeins, more of like a 3.5 ounce skein. Like the one that's coming to my mind would be like, feels like butter, those type of them. You can fit 5 to 6 in those, and it's nice and tight. You can stack them, either horizontally, or you can actually stack them vertically like you would put books on a bookshelf. So that is one of my favorite little yarn organizing hacks. I will say though, these things are great for your shelves, but they are not great to tote your yarn around. They are not meant for durability. I have a handful of premium yarns that I have not broken into yet. I actually did a Hirschner's haul. I got some of the Bergier from France and some universal yarns, some cakes, some cotton cakes, and some wool blend cakes. And I kind of put these back in my closet because I thought, well, I definitely want the right project for these. I don't want to squander them, so to speak. But I did make sure this time around to put them in the sweater organizer and not stuff it overly full, that I could continue to see where they were. And I also put them into 2 different cubbies. And this will be in my reveal video, where I will show you that, but I wanted to coordinate them a little more by color so that it was very aesthetically pleasing to me and so I could see them. But I think it's important, if you have those special type of yarns, to put them in a place separate so that if you have the right pattern to go with a little more of a premium yarn, that you know exactly where to find it. It has been so much fun reacquainting myself with some of my yarns that I've purchased and have kind of lost track of. So even if my yarn closet wouldn't have been a disaster, I think it's probably a good idea ever so often to dive into that yarn stash and see what's all in there and make sure all the like items are together and really remember some of the fabulous yarns that you've picked up over time. I know I also had in my mind certain yarns I thought I had, which I did not have. I had something maybe similar. So it's a good time to do an inventory of what you have. And like I said, it is fun. You get to see things you forgot about. You remember, oh my gosh, I was going to make this. And, just all these fun things of some really spectacular yarns. Just remember, this is not a one-size-fits-all yarn stash for everyone. I think it's easy to get on YouTube and look at some YouTubers like absolutely gorgeous walls of yarn and how it's organized and just the sheer amount of it. And just to keep in perspective that actually isn't the norm. Even for us yarnies. So I think it is, unless you are making an honest to goodness living off of yarn, it is kind of hard to justify some of all of that and the elaborate storage systems. So just keep that in mind and do what you can with what you can and really have fun with it. I'm super excited to be able to show you my yarn stash and my yarn organization tips and tricks and the results of really tackling this head on instead of what's the expression, slapping lipstick on a pig, which is what I've done in the past, of throwing it in totes and getting it just organized enough to get by. But this time really tackling it head on and seeing, what I use most and what's most convenient and what will work for my system. So I do hope that you check those out on YouTube. I will have 2 installments of that, the beginning one and the reveal. And I believe I will be tackling, since I had a lot of success with this endeavor, I believe my next adventure will be tackling some of my longest running whips. So through this process, I realized I have quite a few containers of whips and they are a little bit out of control. So that will be our next podcast, is addressing those long lost whips. Thanks for talking yarn with me.